you have to go to the bathroom, where do you go to the bathroom?
Bucket.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, because the restaurants around here don't want to make you use the restroom unless you buy something.
But what about are there public toilets out here?
They took them out.
When?
They took them out 3 months ago.
A man can go pee anywhere and still have some level of privacy because he can hide himself. A woman, when she squats down, it's full exposure, and to be very honest with you, there's a splattering effect. So it's not nice.
Los Angeles, where homelessness is so pervasive, the city's residents have become numb to the vast human tragedy unfolding within arm's reach.
There's been 7 people who died or something here. Yeah, people died. And they don't give a fuck.
So asking me about the bathrooms and whether they're safe and like what the experience is specific to my gender is a great question because that is the thing about homelessness, right? Like all these little things that we often take for granted in a normal setting are a huge struggle. Here in this park there is one bathroom, a woman and a men's bathroom obviously, and but I don't feel comfortable. I'll go use it fine, but the stalls come out about up to my chest level. For some reason, some of the men are using the women's bathroom instead of the men's bathroom. Whether their bathroom's dirty, I don't know, but when they go in there, I don't feel comfortable because then they can stand up and my pants are down and they can see everything the minute they stand up because the stall is about that high.
Bang, bang, every day the same old day. Oink, oink, bang, bang, every day the same old day.
And I'm gonna keep it real with you. If the city were to put out hand washing stations, right, where people can wash their hands, put out toilets where people can take a crap, you know what I'm saying, at least, you know what I'm saying, privately, you know what I'm saying, and sanitize, right? And then if you put out trash cans and dump the damn trash, right? Half of the problems that we see on the table with the NIMBYs and stuff like that would go away. Half of the problems on the table would go away if the city do those 3 things.
Tell me about some of the sanitation issues that people.
Man.
Is there proper? Are there proper bathrooms? Are there proper garbages, showers?
No, there's not. You have garbage in the streets, as you can see. You have feces everywhere, on sidewalks, behind trash cans, in alleys, urine everywhere, rats running around because they diseased, nibbling on this person, nibbling on that person.
Skid Row is not actually populated by people from Skid Row. It's populated by people who are forced to go to Skid Row because it's the only place they can eat, the only place they can survive.
What's the thing that that you think that people think about you or homeless people that isn't true, or you wish that they didn't think? Is there something that's
Yeah, I'm not a vagrant. I don't steal from people. I try not to lie. Yeah, it's just they just think we're all bad people for the most part. Like,
most of the people that I told that I was homeless when I did cried because they couldn't believe that the way I handled myself in the streets, that I was homeless.
some of them are out here because they have to be. I want to be out here because I want to be, because I'm a traveler. And yeah, that's pretty much what everybody thinks. And it's pretty bad. I don't understand. I mean, some of the homeless people are morons. They do stupid shit.
Say what? Say what? Say what, man?
But a lot of us are good people and don't do nothing dumb. And some of these people out here make us look all clumped up in the same spot, and it's just shitty.
In order to protect myself, somebody gave me this golf club with an extension of the PVC pipe that you can hide a knife in the top.
What happened?
A dude got chopped up on the hill today. Where you see that blue top with the white tent around it, the tenting, that's the crime scene unit in there.
Loss of businesses, loss of freedom, loss of life.
I can't stand it, actually.
Baba, what happened?
I was drinking in public.
And is that against the law?
Evidently.
Skid Row is a very dangerous place. Very dangerous. Thieves, murderers, dope sellers, prostitution, people schizophrenia, people with guns, people with knives, gangbangers, everything.
Get these motherfuckers out of here, and fuck you and the block you come in on. Fuck you. Yeah, clean this shit up. This is some bullshit. We in danger. Fuck you. They blowing this motherfucker up with chemicals every motherfucking day.
Could you articulate for me what is the city's plan to solve this problem?
The city's plan is not to solve the problem. The city's plan is how can we make this a less visible problem. It's not about housing people or anything at all for the people. It's let's get them out of sight and off the streets, and we don't really care where that is.
A federal judge today ordered the city and county of LA to offer housing to the entire homeless population of downtown's Skid Row.
Judge David O. Carter ordering LA City and LA County to find shelter for all unhoused residents of Skid Row within 180 days.
That's 180 days to find shelter for more than 5,000 people. Every other plan has failed. Politicians propose rhetoric instead of implementing solutions. Billions have been wasted. The system is mired in corruption. The mayor insists the goal is impossible.
The homeless people in the city of Los Angeles ain't created this homeless crisis. It's the politics that came out of here that made them number one in the nation, the worstest. The worstest, worse than Georgia, worse than Mississippi.
And the city is at it again.
Hey, sir, I'm just curious, are you asking her to leave? I'm just curious, are you asking her to leave?
Who are you?
I've been making a documentary about the homeless.
You know, this is their pattern. They dump you somewhere wherever they can. They neglect you, don't do their jobs, and then they just abandon you, which is what they're doing to me now.
Hey, is there someone I could just ask a question to? Because I'm dopey? Is there someone I could just ask? I'm just curious. Are you guys, do you want Marcy to leave this place? I don't understand. You guys are from the organization that's from St. Joe's, right? The outreach organization. I'm just curious How come people have to leave after giving you shelter for now several months?
A year and a half.
A year and a half. And now, today, their plan is to what?
Put me on the streets in my car.
I'm just curious, are they asking you to have her leave?
No, sir, I can't. I don't know who you are. What are you talking about? Why are you bothering me here?
Don't bother, I'm just asking a question. Did they kick you out?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, they can. After promising me for 18 months that they would get me a place to live, that they could not put me on the streets, that they had to get me a place to live. After 18 months of these promises, they say to me, you have to leave. In fact, they came banging on my door a few days before they wanted me out. They said they are out of money.
Can I give you my business card? Would that be all right? Talk a little bit about the service agencies. Is it a good idea to send as our first sort of wave predominantly 20-something kids who are fresh out of college, who are eager to be helpful, but in all likelihood lack the experience of the world and then the ability to make conversation and have discussions with, for the moment, let's stick with adult men who are either schizophrenic, who have alcoholism, who are drug addicts, or who have suffered trauma.
1717 Oceanfront and Park has a hostage situation. In this art facility here, people buried in the basement. Hey, guy with the camera, can you put it on him?
I mean, it's obvious that people who are the most effective in working with other people are people who have some shared experience with them, who have some capacity for understanding what life looks like from their side of the table.
A priest attempted to molest me when I was 13, and years later I looked it up and found the guy online, and they said if you ever had contact with this priest, contact these people, called SNAP, Survivors Network from Abusive Priests.
I think there's a bigger problem here, which is this focus on outreach and connection. Those encounters were not free. Those people were paid, their transportation was paid, and they did what they were paid to do. They had their conversation and they got the survey filled out. So they checked off that box, but they never actually had anything to offer. It's a little bit like having a bunch of salespeople selling a product for which there's no factory.
And then I've been here for a month and I haven't seen these people at all. And then when I do see them, they come at me in such an aggressive way. Like seriously, I was like praying. I was like, you need to back up. You need to stay where you are. There was 5 people watching. I'm like, I cannot talk to you anymore. I'll talk to your partner over here. Because this guy was so aggressive.
My experience with outreach workers, I've mostly been ignored or overlooked.
But I mean, this is what they do. They lie to you and tell you all these things, make promises.
I mean, if you talk to people in places that have a lot of service activity, people will say, I've been outreached like 7 times and nothing's ever happened.
You think that the billions of dollars that have now been given to California to handle the homeless situation is actually going to the homeless and not being lined by all these people, you know, their government people coming to take that money? That's just not, that is actually happening.
Hey, Sheriff, is it possible to ask you a question? How come it took the VA so long to take care of men who were sleeping out here in the streets from now nearly a year?
Follow along as we take you inside the most ambitious project of its kind ever attempted by an American city.
The largest facility that's housing people who are mentally have mental illness or who are homeless is the LA County Jail.
You'll meet the politicians, the charitable organizations, the advocates, the historians, and hear directly from those miraculously surviving amidst a catastrophe of historic proportions.
Right, and when you go back in history in Los Angeles, right, you see that way back yonder, way back in the late 1800s, right, the solution that the city had for homelessness and dealing with homeless people, right, was to criminalize it.
Coming soon, a new documentary from Hotchkiss Industries. The countdown has already begun. 180 days.
It's a woman who's very, seems like she has a psychiatric disorder, and they're offering her help, and she doesn't appear to want help, and they're being very gentle with her. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I didn't know. I had nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay.
No, I just walked by and my dog, I happened to be making a documentary about the homeless, and I've been making it for 10 months. And so it makes me sad to see that a person with clear psychiatric disorder is out here, and she clearly needs help, but we can't give it to her because she doesn't consent to it. And they send you, and she hasn't committed a crime, and we're left with a terrible situation where a person who clearly needs help can refuse it, and there's nothing really that you can do unless she's an imminent threat to somebody else at the moment. And she very clearly is not a threat to someone at this instant, except to her own health and safety.
So, based on the statements that she made to us after I asked her the questions,
Right.
she doesn't actually meet the criteria to place her on hold.
Right, that's what I mean, exactly.
So I can't force her.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that's probably why you're doing your documentary. 'Cause
Yeah.
I can't force this person to get placed on a hold.
No.
And get medical attention.
Correct, and it's a huge problem, and one we don't know how to solve.
If I were to take her, it'd be considered kidnapping. I can't
Right.
do that, so.
Exactly, and it's too bad because she very clearly needs help.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because as much as I'd like to get her some assistance, she doesn't meet the criteria. I cannot place her on hold, and I cannot kidnap her to take her back to the station.
Right.
Evaluated. And it's
I know
not
it.
illegal to be
Disoriented and have delusions out in public. That's not against the law, even though she very clearly needs help.
Good luck with your documentary.
Hey,
sir.
thanks for taking a second to talk to me. I
No,
really
no
appreciate it. It's very nice.
Might want to check out your documentary. What's it going to be called?
It's called 180 days.
180 Days?
Yeah.
Is it going to be on what, Netflix? Or?
I hope. I'm editing it now, and
YouTube or-
no, I'm going for Netflix or Amazon.